seen a lot of really dumb business decisions made in my day, especially revolving around the video game industry, but this one might take the cake. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. And Sony has announced the long-awaited and much-leaked PlayStation 5 Pro for a whopping $700 USD without a disc drive, without a stand. It's almost like they don't think consumers know there's this thing called a PC out there that can do literally the same thing, if not more, for about the same price, except you can upgrade a PC forever. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full exhaustive article talking about how this PlayStation 5 Pro announcement was a straight-up catastrophe, and it harkened back to the days of watching The Simpsons and seeing Homer try to build a car and put just everything into it and then sell it for a price that is just so ridiculously absurd that everyone is silent. But let's talk about what it actually does first before I continue ripping this thing. According to Sony, they're aiming to deliver smoother frame rates, higher display resolutions, and better ray tracing, promising a console that outperforms the original PS5 by leaps and bounds. Which on the surface, I mean, great, I guess. Here's the thing before I even keep going. As someone that has a PS5 and loves it and thinks the graphics are fantastic, load times great, everything seems awesome on it, not to sound like an old man shaking his cane on his front porch, but I'd rather just get really good games to play on it instead of a new console that marginally increases ray tracing and reflections on shadows and water and makes it look a little bit cooler while you're playing it, and then see the games come out like Concord and you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? One of my biggest takeaways from watching this presentation was how Mark Cerny seemed focused on making the PS5 Pro for an audience that doesn't exist. They even admit it in their own presentation, saying that 3 out of 4 times gamers are choosing the performance mode over the graphics mode. Because if they're anything like me, I care about the performance of the game. The graphics are always second place to that. Like, sure, I guess I'll take better graphics, but what they give you with performance mode is more than sufficient to get across the point that the graphics on the PlayStation 5 base core original model are fantastic in their own right. At $700, $700 without a disc drive, by the way. The PS5 Pro costs as much as a decent gaming PC, a PC that is upgradable and future-proof. And if that wasn't ridiculous enough to hear the original price, it does not include a disc drive. That's an additional $80 USD. And if you want to put it on a stand and have it upright like most people do and how they advertise it, oh, that's going to cost you another $30. So imagine you bought a PlayStation 5 at launch like I did, and you have a disc drive and you're happy with it and you have a bunch of games that you purchased on disc. And you're like, oh, maybe I do want to upgrade to the PS5 Pro. And you look at it and you're like, it looks the same. I mean, I guess there's some slight differences and additional shadows. But honestly, when I'm playing a game, I'm so enthralled in the experience when it's good. I'm thinking like Final Fantasy Rebirth or God of War Ragnarok, where the game itself looks so epically fantastic and plays so well already that I'm fine. Like, you get to a point where I'm like, it's good. It definitely is sufficient for enjoying a game experience. This is not someone that's saying, oh, I don't want to progress the industry forward and I don't think we should be doing, better enhancements and more graphical powers. No. What I'm saying is, what Sony is doing with a mid-generation console upgrade, here in this case with the PS5, is actually a step backwards, removing the disc drive and giving slight enhancements, where the PS4 Pro kept the disc drive, was a lower price, and did fairly the same type of enhancements with it. At this point, with what Sony is doing, it feels more like a cash grab, trying to make as much money as possible off of people that are suckers for shadows and marketing, instead of actual gamers that care about the experience. And the PS5 Pro console reveal trailer is not doing so hot right now. Looking at the likes and dislikes, as of the time of recording, currently 15,000 thumbs up, and 23,000 thumbs down. And that number is increasing every time I refresh the page. And gamers are not having this. In fact, plenty of people, including myself on Twitter, are taking to it like, what the hell is Sony thinking here? This is not a good idea. Okami13 on X put it pretty bluntly. I put together a quick mid-range PC build for about $1,300. PS5 Pro plus disk drive is $780. If you want the stand, that's going to be another $30 and plus tax and all this, but we'll just go with the $780. Either way, for about $500 more, you get free online, free cloud saves, much cheaper games, mods, higher fidelity and frame rates, PC Game Pass with day one Xbox games, hundreds of other titles, PS5 exclusives 1 to 2 years after launch, DLSS with frame gen, ability to tweak and customize settings, ability to upgrade one PC part at a time, countless other benefits of gaming PC. I could opt for an even cheaper machine for a 1440p build, but I tried to use newish parts only. And if that's not enough to sell someone on getting a PC instead of a PS5 Pro, something I noticed he didn't even list here is you're not locked into exclusives from one console. PC gets games from everywhere, so it's even more valuable from the perspective of you're probably going to even be able to play other games from Xbox, from Sony, and from many publishers that don't even go to console themselves. Nintendo still is Nintendo, but that's Nintendo. Adding insult to injury, Sony hadn't even announced any major titles to showcase with this PS5 Pro upgrade. What could have been an opportunity to launch a system seller, a massive groundbreaking game that fully utilizes the new console's capabilities, instead turned into an exercise of showing off slightly enhanced versions of existing titles like Horizon Forbidden West or Gran Turismo 7. So, cool? I guess? I mean, we've all played these games already, or at least most of us have, and they were quite serviceable and looked great. And honestly, watching this gameplay footage, I didn't really notice too much of a difference. Like, I'm sure it's there. I'm not trying to say it's not. I'm just saying you really got to go out of your way to be like, oh, yeah, I see a reflection of my car on the window of the car next to me. That's really game-changing. Sony failing to announce a game that takes full advantage of the PS5 Pro's new hardware is beyond baffling to me. This is a lack of foresight, leaving the average gamer questioning the console's value. At this price point, it had made more sense for Sony to align it with a launch of a massive game that makes full use of the improved graphics, frame rates, ray tracing, and instead, what we got was a showcase of older games with minor visual improvements. And genuinely, that was the perspective that I had coming out of this. Rogmork on Twitter said, consoles are on their way out. PCs and laptops have equivalent or greater capabilities with universal functionality. Nintendo might be the last one standing, but they mostly cater to children who benefit from having a simplified experience. Which is very true. I feel like these console manufacturers from Sony and even Microsoft to an extent are trying to still do the old thing of make a console because that's what gamers purchase, but the prices of the consoles always used to be substantially less than a comparable PC. That was kind of the whole buying proposition. And in addition to that, having exclusive games that were made specifically for those consoles, being like, I need to buy a PlayStation to play God of War. And then Sony ends up putting God of War on PC anyways. And then you're left wondering, okay, so do I go out of my way now and spend upwards of almost $1,000 now after tax, putting everything together for what amounts to a game console that's a mid-generation console upgrade that will be basically rendered out of date in 2 or 3 years. You want to do that? Just imagine if Sony would focus on making incredible game experiences instead of puking out what many have assumed was over $250 million lost on a game like Concord. The vast majority of gamers that I talk to are content with the current graphical offerings and settings. We just want good games to play. And I feel like, yes, I appreciate and love my PlayStation 5, but I feel like I'm not getting as much impact in it that I thought I would, seeing as I got it on launch day, and I only have, 6 exclusive games since launch with it that I've actually played that I couldn't play anywhere else initially. And I feel like that's not really that great. And that's not the best situation you want to be in with a console purchase. Overall, for those with disposable incomes who are clinging to last generation consoles, I guess the PS5 Pro might be an attractive option for you if you have unlimited funds and don't care and just want the latest and greatest. But if that was the case, you'd probably already have a PlayStation 5. The average gamer is already owning a PS5. Spending $700+ on this quote-unquote upgrade is questionable at best. And this move by Sony only makes it easier for everyone interested to just jump to PC gaming instead. And here I am, a console gamer, basically telling everyone that, yeah, I think this is the moment where the shift to the PC master race for the masses actually starts to take place. SNH Productions replied in the comment section on Sony's video saying, $700 with no disk drive nor stand? Is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke? In the end, the PS5 Pro feels like a gigantic misstep in a generation that should be pushing boundaries and creating incredible game experiences. It's time for Sony to go back to the drawing board and start realizing what gamers actually want. Games to play. I don't really understand what's so difficult about that. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, full details, I will link SmashJT's article in the description below. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, please consider hitting that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
When asked to decide on a mode, players are choosing performance about 3/4 of the time.
Smash, change, smash, change.